And here's our top story this Tuesday morning. Rahul Gandhi all set to appear for the second straight day before the Enforcement Directorate for questioning in the National Herald case. And the Congress too is refusing to back down. Yesterday, they held this massive satyagraha. Today as well, they're going to be gathering in large numbers. Rahul Gandhi was questioned for 10 hours yesterday. And today again, he's been summoned for a second round of questioning. He's expected to appear before the ED at about 11:30 this morning. Rahul was questioned over a variety of issues related to Associated Journals Limited. The ED particularly questioned Rahul about his role in the organization that owns the National Herald newspaper. Now, what we're hearing from ED sources is that Rahul Gandhi was rather evasive during questioning, which is why also they've decided to call him in for interrogation today. The Congress had held that massive show of strength during Rahul's grilling yesterday. Today as well, Congress leaders will be gathering at the Congress headquarters. The BJP has referred to all of this as drama, asking why there's so much fuss if the Gandhis have nothing to hide.
Day of big Congress tour, from chief ministers to members of parliament and thousands of party workers. The entire Congress machinery paused on Monday to rally behind National Herald case accused Rahul Gandhi, facing ED grilling over alleged money laundering with a massive show of strength and a solidarity march to the Enforcement Watchdog's office. Congress leader and Wayanad MP marched to the Enforcement Directorate's office from the Congress headquarters in Delhi, with hundreds of sloganeering supporters. As Rahul's grilling started by 3 ED officials, Sister and Congress General Secretary Priyanka led the protest. Several Congress stalwarts were detained for the march, which didn't have permission and breached prohibitory orders at ED office.
I am in the police van, if you can see. Yes, I have no clue. I was just giving a bite, which is my duty as a national spokesperson, and then I was just picked up and put in this.
राहुल गांधी जी को बुलाया है, इसमें हमें कोई एतराज नहीं है. वो जाएंगे, हम साथ में जाएंगे. साथ में किसी के साथ जाना तो ये तो कोई क्राइम नहीं है. हम क्या कोई गैर कानूनी काम करते हैं क्या? अजीब सी बात है. तानाशाही की रात चलते हैं और क्या.
Congress launched a pan-India protest from Jammu to Patna to Bengaluru, with party workers hitting the streets. Rahul is facing ED probe in the 2012 National Herald money laundering case. The Gandhis are accused of embezzling funds and financial irregularities. With Preeti Chaudhary, Supriya Bharadwaj and Munish Pandey in Delhi. Bureau Report, India Today.
So at about 11 this morning, Rahul Gandhi is expected to appear before the ED once again. Let's tell you what's happening on the ground. Kamaljeet Sandhu is joining us live from the AICC headquarters in Delhi. We've also got Shreya Chatterjee joining us this morning live from the Enforcement Directorate office. Kamaljeet, I'd like to begin with you. Good morning. Early this morning, already the Congress has made it very clear that their leaders, their workers will be gathering pretty much again at the Congress headquarters. So repeat of what happened yesterday expected today as well.
Well, the Congress may have announced that this could be a repeat of what has happened yesterday, but things appear much calmer today. We are at the AICC office, and there you can see there's hardly any crowd. We saw massive crowds really turn up yesterday. Look at the body language of the policemen out here. The Delhi police deployed in heavy numbers, but the body language itself shows they have done the preparations. The barricades have come up all along Janpath Road now. So if we can try and show you at a distance, the barricades are still standing. But what is significant is that at this point of time, the preparations are in place. but we don't see the crowds that we saw yesterday. Now, Randeep Surjewala is expected to address a press conference in a short while from now, around 9 o'clock. But before that, it does seem that the Congress leaders will once again gather here at the AICC. We do not know whether they're going to really march like yesterday, because remember, there were several detentions of leaders. They accused and alleged that Delhi police had actually manhandled them. Some of the leaders had their clothes torn. So they were saying this is obviously simply not done. But today again is day 2 of questioning of Rahul Gandhi. And before that, Congress is still strategizing as what it needs to do. Meanwhile, upping the ante against the Modi government. So far, it's ED as well as Rahul Gandhi. But meanwhile, political storm already brewing.
That's right. So today as well, Congress leaders are expected to gather where Kamaljeet is at the Congress headquarters. Let's focus on Rahul Gandhi's grilling in this particular case. Shreya Chatterjee is joining us live from the Enforcement Directorate office. Shreya, Rahul expected there by about 11:30 today for round 2 of questioning. Just round up for our viewers what played out yesterday, because he was questioned for over 10 hours and yet summoned today as well.
Well, absolutely. So, Akshata, it was questioning that was for over 10 hours. However, in the interim period, he was actually questioned for around 8.5 hours. It's for the 2 hours he was looking into the questions, whether there was any mistake before finalizing. And obviously, the reason he's been summoned today is because the Enforcement Directorate officers have found certain answers that have been given by Rahul Gandhi as evasive and inconclusive. That's the reason he's been called again. There are some questions that were also left out yesterday, is why Rahul Gandhi is appearing today. Yesterday, we saw that he was questioned in 2 halves. The questions revolved around his role in AJL and Young India Private Limited. He was a board of director in Young India Private Limited. He holds a share of 38% total. He and his mother holds 76% share in Young India Private Limited. The entire questioning focused on that. We also do understand that the ED officers tried to ask Rahul Gandhi about the fact that why did he hide his role as a director in the company, in that IT department tax sheet that he filed in 2011 to 2012. So these are the questions that revolved around so far as Rahul Gandhi's summon was concerned. Today becomes extremely important because we have to see that whether or not it will again be a long day for Rahul Gandhi.
That's right.
Provided unless and until the agency feels that the answers are conclusive, probably it will again be a long day for Rahul Gandhi today.
That's right. Shreya, thank you for getting us that update from the Enforcement Directorate office. Thanks to Kamaljeet also for getting us that live report from the Congress headquarters. Let's focus on the political fallout of what played out yesterday, of Rahul Gandhi being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate and the Congress holding that massive march, which they referred to as a satyagraha. The BJP was quick to mock it. The BJP, in fact, fielding Union Minister Smriti Irani to take on the Congress. She referred to this whole protest march as nothing but tamasha, saying this is an attempt by the Grand Old Party to pressurize the Enforcement Directorate. Interestingly, it wasn't just the BJP that questioned the Congress, but even the Trinamool Congress. The streets of Delhi witnessing a mammoth show of solidarity by Congress workers with Rahul Gandhi. The National Herald case is back in focus and the political war of words reignited by ED's grilling of Rahul. As the Delhi police refused permission to Congress's satyagraha, the party leadership made it clear nothing could stop them.
मोदी सरकार और उसके पिट्ठू इलेक्शन मैनेजमेंट डिपार्टमेंट ईडी ने सत्य को ललकारा है। सत्य को आवरण की जरूरत नहीं, न उसे दबाया जा सकता।
And true to their word, thousands of Congress workers descended on the streets of the national capital with chants of Rahul Zindabad. Rahul's family also stood firmly with him. His sister Priyanka accompanied him to the ED office, his brother-in-law expressing solidarity.
जब भी कोई इलेक्शन होता है, जब भी कोई उद्योगपति कुछ भी अच्छा कर रहा है कि अगर हम बीजेपी के हित में नहीं बोलेंगे तो एजेंसी का इस्तेमाल किया जाएगा, बेबुनियाद इल्ज़ाम लगाए जाएंगे, उनको उनके परिवार को परेशान किया जाएगा।
The BJP did hold back in their attacks either, calling this not a satyagrah but a scamagrah.
Today, everyone can see that there is lot of dirt of corruption on the hand of the Congress party, and therefore to hide this corruption that has taken place, they are now indulging in confrontation instead of cooperation.
Rahul's Amethi rival Smriti Irani also jumped into the fray, accusing Congress of pressuring central agencies.
Leaders and workers of the Congress party have descended onto the streets of the national capital to pressurize investigating agencies. Never before has such a blatant attempt been made by one political family to hold investigative agencies to ransom.
The political showdown peaked as Smriti Irani even dragged in Priyanka's name for the first time in the National Herald scam.
रोटेक्स मर्चेंडाइज प्राइवेट लिमिटेड जो कैश के बदले चेक देती है, जो कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ता आज दिल्ली में एकत्रित हुए हैं, वो राहुल गांधी जी से पूछिए कि गांधी खानदान का संबंध डोटेक्स मर्चेंडाइज प्राइवेट लिमिटेड से क्या है?
Interestingly, it wasn't just the BJP that was firing salvos at the Congress, but the TMC too, calling out the grand old party for double standards.
This is the basic policy of Congress, that they play double standard game. When our people were being called, not a single Congress leader came out with a statement.
With Supriya Bharadwaj, Preeti Chaudhary and Munish Pandey, Bureau Report, India Today.